Hi guys, hello and welcome to yet another segment of Sports Stars match analysis from the ongoing Men's T20 World Cup in the UAE. I am Ayan. I am joined by my colleague Amol. Good evening, Amol. How is it going?
Very good evening, Ayan. You and I are smiling, but I'm sure most of the Indian cricket fans back home are, if not in tears, definitely not smiling.
Absolutely, yeah. And about that, there's big news coming in from Abu Dhabi, where New Zealand, of course, have beaten Afghanistan quite comprehensively to progress to the semis, and in doing so, have knocked India out of the tournament. Remember, India still have a game left. They will take on Namibia in Dubai on November 8th. But more on that a bit later. A quick recap of New Zealand's excellent win over Afghanistan. Amol, quite a clinical victory for Kane Williamson's men.
Typical New Zealand performance, isn't it,
Correct.
Ayan?
Yeah.
They just never let the grip loose right from the start to end.
Yeah.
And that's the way they have been playing, especially in this tournament.
Correct.
Even in the
Correct.
game that they lost, they were never outplayed as such. So
Absolutely.
that speaks volumes. If at all there are two deserving teams from this group, India's
Hmm.
group, those deserving teams have made it to the semifinals, right?
Correct. Yeah, and yeah. Speaking of the challenges, of course, unlike Afghanistan, who were playing in Abu Dhabi, who had played in Abu Dhabi earlier, New Zealand were playing their third game at a different venue on the trot. So for them to come here and play the way they did, at one point, of course, when they lost a couple of early wickets, there was a glimmer of hope if you are looking to be too optimistic at this point. But with Kane Williamson and Conway, what I really liked was the way they took the game deep. They knew that there was no reason to panic. They had enough batting to follow for them to chase down the total, and that's exactly what they did. And one of the reasons I feel New Zealand has been so successful in T20s, especially in this edition, is because they seem to have the right mix of players for low-scoring tournaments, where you have got the spinners who can come and sort of tighten the noose in the middle overs. You've got two world-class swing bowlers up front, and Adam Milne has added that extra yard of pace to their attack. So all in all, great news for New Zealand, who've now made it a habit of sort of going big in ICC tournaments, right? First of all, the 2019 World Cup, 50 over World Cup, then the Test Championship final, and now this. And India just seems to be at the receiving end every single time.
Yeah, and I would just like to point out, I am sure you and I will do a separate episode of trying to dissect India's tournament, but you
Yeah,
hit the nail. You said they have a habit of playing as a team when it comes to the big stage, something
correct.
that all the Indian cricket fraternity should
Yeah.
actually take a lesson from.
Correct, correct. And before we move on to India and things that could have gone right but didn't, congratulations to Rashid Khan, who's picked up his 400th T20 wicket. I mean, he's just 23. One can only imagine how many more he will get along the way, being the great T20 globetrotter that he is already. So yeah, congratulations, Rashid. Now moving on to India, I'm pretty sure, and well, they've already cancelled their optional practice session that was supposed to be held on Sunday as soon as the beg your pardon, the New Zealand Afghanistan game got over. So Amol, yeah, first things first. How do you see this game? How do you see India approaching the India Namibia game now that they are out of the tournament?
See, for most of India's cricket fans, the game may be inconsequential now
Correct.
because India are knocked out.
Yeah.
Namibia are set to finish the last.
Yeah.
Still, the fact of the matter is, from this is a micro thinking as such.
Yeah.
From a macro level perspective, I feel this game will be important on three aspects. In three aspects, this game is important. Point number one is obviously this is going to be the farewell game for
Right.
Indian cricket three leading musketeers who have been
Yes.
actually captaining the ship for most of the last 7 years, isn't it,
Correct.
Ayan?
Yeah, absolutely. Bharat Arun, Ravi Shastri, Ash Sridhar have been instrumental to what India have achieved across formats, not just T20, Test cricket, and ODIs as well. So, yeah, sort of a farewell game for them. I'm sure it will be an emotional moment because whatever India has achieved has been achieved on the back of the work that these men have done behind the screens. So, absolutely. And what about Virat Kohli? He had announced before the tournament that he'll be stepping down as the T20 captain of India. So, well, quite the emotional moment for him too.
Exactly, and that is our point number two, right?
Yeah.
Ayan? Virat Kohli, like you said, has announced that he is stepping down as T20I captain. What better opportunity than a supposedly inconsequential game to actually hand over the reins to the captain in waiting? Yes, so
Correct.
far the national selectors haven't announced the new captain. I'm
Yeah.
not saying it is going to be Rohit Sharma,
Yeah.
or whether it is Rohit Sharma, which is almost the case, or even if they spring a surprise in Rishabh Pant. I can't see any other candidate beyond this.
Correct.
KL Rahul is a real outside chance for now, at least for
Yeah.
T20 international.
Hmm.
So whosoever the captain is, it's the best opportunity for Virat Kohli to actually let the new captain lead come game time against Namibia. And
Yeah.
remember, who better than Mahendra Singh Dhoni as the mentor to
Yeah.
actually ensure that Kohli
Correct.
does make it happen. Remember
Yeah.
Australia 2015?
Correct. Yeah, absolutely, absolutely, and I agree. Nothing's confirmed yet, of course, whether it's going to be Rohit or Rishabh. Rohit's name is well, obviously, because he's been the vice captain and the great batter that he is. You expect him, or he's expected to take up that role. But there's Rishabh Pant too, who recently captained Delhi Capitals and did a fairly commendable job at that. But yeah, absolutely, and Virat Kohli. As I said, I mean, it'll be an emotional moment for him because T20, the T20 format, of course, he's aced it as a batter. But that is one, the format of the game that he couldn't quite make hay as while the sun was shining as a skipper. So that and what better way to just sort of symbolically pass on the baton by letting the person who's going to succeed him lead in potentially inconsequential game against Namibia. And lastly, before we wrap up, the biggest news of all, of course, Rahul Dravid's appointment as head coach, as he so often did when he was playing for India, coming out and salvaging the team from difficult times. Well, this seems to be a similar situation off the field.
It is, but that's not our third point. The third
Yeah.
point is about another Rahul.
Oh yeah.
Rahul Chahar, the
Yes.
leggy,
Before.
has
Yeah.
been. Yeah, Rahul Chahar is the only member of this 15-member squad who is yet to get a game.
Correct.
And if the National Selection Committee, in consultation with the leadership group of the team,
Yeah.
has zeroed in on Chahar as their number one spinner heading into the next year's T20 World Cup in
Correct.
Australia,
Yeah.
he cannot ask for a better opportunity to actually
Absolutely.
have a game,
Yeah.
to have that big tournament feel as such. Yes,
Yeah.
it's Namibia, but it's ultimately World Cup, right?
Correct.
So the third point I want to see is I would be delighted to see Rahul Chahar and Varun Chakravarti, depending on his fitness,
Yeah.
both get a game because
Yeah.
both have been marked as the ones for the
Correct.
future. So
Yeah.
the third point.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree, and because it was quite curious to see Yuzvendra Chahal not be part of this World Cup squad, considering that India had zeroed in on him and Kuldeep Yadav as the two leading leg spinners for the longest time. Before, of course, the trend moved to finger spin again. But now, yes, Rahul Chahar's form, although with the Mumbai Indians in the last IPL wasn't that great, but it seems like the team management has shown confidence in him and Varun Chakravarti. And given that the next T20 World Cup is not very far away, and it's happening in Australia, where again, because of the large outfields and spinners once again will come into play. So more the practice Varun and Rahul get, the better for them and for India as well. Absolutely agree. I mean, so two things: Kohli will pass on the baton symbolically to the person who will succeed him, and Rahul Chahar will hopefully get a chance to roll his arm because he's not had any game time in this World Cup. And lastly, before we wrap up, the Rahul that I had in mind, what do you make of the challenges facing him as he takes charge?
Way too many challenges to begin with. I don't know. By the time our Sports Star viewers would be watching this,
Yeah.
you never know. The new Rahul may have been consulted by the selectors and the squad for New Zealand T20s and
True.
the
Yeah.
Test series
Yeah.
may well have been announced. It may be
Correct.
announced anytime from now on. So
Okay.
that will be Rahul Dravid's first test, and the first big test will obviously be South Africa.
Correct.
See, Rahul Dravid has multiple challenges. One is to carry on the legacy that Ravi Shastri and Virat Kohli as combination has successfully implemented playing away from home. But the job is barely halfway done.
Yeah.
They haven't yet won a series in South Africa. They haven't yet won a series in New Zealand.
Correct.
South Africa, end of the year, will be the first big opportunity. And
Yeah.
two, we have seen how well India have fared in the shorter formats in the last couple of years. Come at the big stage, they tend to falter.
Correct.
This time around also it has been the same case, and with two World Cups lined up in the next 18 months in different formats,
Correct.
that is the other big challenge that Rahul Dravid has to carry.
Absolutely. And we will, for our viewers, of course, we will delve deeper into this in another separate segment because, well, as Amol said, it's a huge bunch of challenges that Rahul Dravid faces, and there's no way we can sum it all up in one segment. So this will be all from our side. We'll, of course, be back with the review of the India versus Namibia game on Monday. Until then, this is Ayan signing off with Amol. Thank you so much.